Their mission is to engage with Orange County's artistic, cultural communities at every level by publishing news and critical analysis of the things that are going on here in the community, arts and culture-wise. I want to welcome Paul Huggins to the program. Thank you for joining us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you.
You are the publisher. You're the chief cook of bottled water. A little bit of everything there.
I am. I like to call myself a professional beggar too, because I go around asking for money from.
You're one of the co-founders. Well, let's start there. This enterprise you have, cultureoc.org, is a nonprofit, and
yes.
You guys are doing nonprofit work with covering other nonprofits in the arts community, right?
Right.
How did this all get started?
It all started actually when I got laid off, along with a lot of other people from the Register at the beginning of 2018. And as I was sitting there in the parking lot, rather dejectedly thinking about my future, I got a call from a publicist who worked for the Segerstrom Center for the Arts, and Tim Dunn, and he said, "Well, what are you going to do about this?" I said, "Well, I'm probably going to go and have a drink." And he said, "But after that, you should really think about starting some sort of a nonprofit news platform for arts and culture." And I thought, well, not a bad idea. A lot of us are sitting around wondering about our future right now.
Right.
And so we talked to Norberto Santana at Voice of OC, a very successful nonprofit news platform.
Right.
And decided to go with him. And so for 5 years, we were the arts and culture page at Voice of OC. We built up an audience, a newsletter following, and after 5 years, we decided to go it on our own and hang out our own shingle.
Now, Voice of OC, for folks who don't know about that, they're really kind of heavy politics and government coverage, and with the kind of like, with the demise, I would say, of the Orange County Register and LA Times in Orange County, that coverage has kind of gone to the wayside. So Norberto, seeing the need, started this online news program, and now you guys did the same thing with entertainment and arts, right?
Right. We were very much in the spirit of Norberto and Voice of OC. We recognized the need for arts and culture news. After all, Orange County has defined itself in part by its cultural life. A lot of the captains of industry here, the most moneyed and influential families, have put a lot of money into our institutions.
One thinks of Henry Segerstrom almost immediately, right? The farmer, beanfield, entrepreneur, South Coast Plaza, and then right across the street, the Segerstrom Center.
Right. George Arduous, the Samuelis, the list is long.
Yeah. So what's your background? Did you start off in music or arts and culture and journalism, or a little bit of all of these things?
I am a jack of all trades. I came to the States from Canada to pursue graduate studies in music at University of Michigan, where I studied under Carl St. Clair, the director of Pacific Symphony. And I got my doctorate at USC. I taught at UC Irvine for 7 years as the music director of the dance department. Did not get tenure. Hopped over to journalism, and I was at the Register for 25 years, writing about theater and later dance and classical music for them until I got laid off.
Yeah. And when did you move to Laguna Woods?
I moved here in 2020.
With the intent of retiring?
Yes, that was the original intent. It didn't work out that way. Retirement for me is doing what I like to do, and as it is for a lot of people, I guess.
Right.
So
when you look at the model that we have now, a lot of news pages are online and they are not for profit. How is that? Is it successful? Is it a hard trudge, or do you get a lot of support? Was it an enthusiastic embracing of this?
Well, the model for nonprofit news has actually been around for a while. There are institutions like ProPublica. There's a group called the Institute for Nonprofit News, which has set out guidelines, really, and best practices for nonprofit journalism. And so it's not an entirely new thing. A nonprofit arts and culture website, that's a little more rare.
Right.
But general news websites, investigative news websites, the nonprofit world has quite a few of those now.
Now, tell me a little bit. I want to take a look at the front page, the landing page of the website. Tell me a little bit about the things you cover. It's food and culture and arts and just kind of everything culture in OC?
We define culture kind of broadly. Culture can be the ballet and classical music, or it can be the guy who restores Packards in Santa Ana, fascinating guy, or women who make quinceañera dresses, or a guy who builds sandcastles in Huntington Beach for a living. That's culture too.
Right. Yeah. And so when people land on your page, they can just kind of jump around and go to where they want.
They can graze or concentrate on the things that they like. We have a really pretty impressive stable of writers, over 20 writers and photographers, all of whom worked for the Register, the LA Times, or OC Weekly.
I was looking through that, and it is quite the amazing, some amazing names you have in there.
I know. They were all available to us.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And do they kind of figure out their own beats? Do you guys have editorial meetings where you say, okay, we're going to do these major things, but everybody else go out and figure out your own thing, or how does it work?
The editorial team, there are 4 of us. We meet every Monday at 4 o'clock. We invite ideas from our writers, and they're very experienced. They have a lot of them, and we just kind of guide them. You know, we assign some stories, and they come up with their own as well.
Yeah. What do people not understand about Orange County's arts and culture and music community?
I think that it's as vibrant and diverse as it is. There's, you know, an incredible Vietnamese language music scene here, right? There's Spanish theater here. People seldom scratch the surface, or some people do, some people don't. And of course, there are what we like to call the temple arts, right? The Segerstrom Center for the Arts, an incredible symphony, a great dance season at the center. Touring orchestras come here. It's a pretty impressive season all in all. When we look at community level art and world-class culture, it's all here in abundance.
What surprised you over the years the most about Orange County's arts community? Like the things you've discovered along the way, or things you didn't really know when you started off many of those years ago?
I think the incredible generosity of the people who've supported the arts. And also, I think, you know, Orange County, rightly or wrongly, has been given the reputation of being very conservative. Well, these conservative people supported institutions like South Coast Repertory, which was pretty cutting edge in terms of new play development. And they've courted their share of controversies over the years. And some very, quote, conservative people supported SCR to the hilt through all of those controversies. So a lot of people are surprised when I tell them that.
Yeah, did the kind of the liberal, conservative kind of transcend when it comes to the arts in a way here in Orange County at least?
I think it does, for the most part. Yeah, the arts are sort of a Romulan neutral territory we can all agree upon.
There we go. Now, for yourself, what do you like to focus on? I know you do a lot of stuff with Segerstrom and things like that, and Carl St. Clair. I know you have a series going on with the retirement of Carl St. Clair, right?
We do.
And the new search for the new conductor.
Yeah, we're working with PBS SoCal on that. I did a bunch of interviews at their studios not long ago. Talked to Carl and John Forsythe, the president of the symphony, and John Evans, their longtime board chair, and some musicians about the process of transition and finding a new music director. Yeah.
How important is it for arts and culture to be covered and covered well in a place like Orange County or San Diego or LA?
I think a community's culture says a lot about its soul. I think Orange County sometimes has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder, like, you know, we're just as important as LA.
The shadow of LA.
The idea for the Orange County Performing Arts Center was born when the Music Center opened in LA back in the early 60s. Certain people went, we want one of our own because we're just as good as LA.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how close a working relationship have you been able to develop over the years? I mean, can you just call somebody up and say, hey, Art, I want to come down there, and, you know, Bill, I'm going to be over. Can we do an interview today? Or is it still kind of you still have to pull teeth to get into the door some places? I
have a big Rolodex, to use an antiquated term.
I was going to say.
But now that I'm a publisher, it's a little bit of a different hat that I'm wearing. I'm not directly involved with the newsroom, but I fly the flag for Culture OC, and I look for supporters, foundation support, government, corporate, and private support. We've got to keep ourselves going.
What's the best thing about this job, and what's the most challenging? I'm guessing it's fundraising. I'm going to say is challenging,
well,
but what's the most challenging?
The challenging thing is the fundraising, because I'm not a born fundraiser. We started working with a professional grant writer, so we're sort of entering a new phase with that, and we just had a successful fundraising drive. The best thing about it is I get to continue relationships with people that I've known and liked over the years. It's a great community. It's very supportive, and I think I know that there's a need for this. They're all telling me, thank goodness you're here. You guys are doing a great job, and we need this.
Right, yeah. And things can sometimes feel like nobody knows about what's going on when there isn't that coverage, and we have that kind of a light isn't shining in these areas sometimes.
Yeah, for example, the Register no longer has a restaurant critic, and not coincidentally, Orange County's kind of getting ignored by the James Beard Awards and Yelp and other award
And yet we have some Michelin star restaurants down here.
Well, one closed.
Right.
It's not here anymore. Taqueria is gone. I think it's important to have people at the front lines who cover things like that. And when you take them away, they become less visible.
Yeah, we're a little less for it, right? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining us. Paul Huggins from Culture OC. You can find it at cultureoc.org. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.